Okay, welcome back to our study today. Let's continue where we left off, and let's continue discussing now the Qumran priestly calendar. And we say the priestly calendar. It doesn't mean it belongs to them. It means they are the priests have a stewardship. They have a responsibility to bear the teaching and judgment of this calendar, and that is an important point to make. So let's go on with the 364-day biblical priestly calendar as it is unique to Israel.
So in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in explicit detail, it goes over the calendar and how the calendar works. And this calendar is actually tied directly to the 24 priestly courses that was given to David. Even though I like to refer to this calendar as the Zadok priestly calendar, it is not a calendar that originated with the Zadok priests. It is not a calendar that originated in the Qumran. The Dead Sea Scrolls explain to us that the Qumran community, they saw that this calendar was first given to Enoch. And if it was given to Enoch, it predates Zadok the priest in the days of David and Solomon. So we're going to look at some aspects of this calendar as it relates to the calendar of the nations. The calendar of the nations is primarily lunar-based calendars. And then given that we've already covered extensively Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 24, showing that there the God of Israel states the authority in matters of controversy, including when to keep the festivals, was given to the Zadok priests. We are then going to see where this calendar is in the Torah itself, because everyone wants to know, okay, I'm following you, but where is it in the Torah? So the first thing we want to say is that it is a 364-day calendar, and it's really a priestly calendar, and the academics refer to it as a solar calendar because it's 1 1/4 days short of the actual cycle of the sun. And the Gregorian Roman calendar, which we follow in the West, it is a true solar calendar because it's based upon 365 1/4 days. Of course, we do 365 days, that quarter day. Every 4 years we have a leap day. But the God of Israel stated in the book of Deuteronomy that Israel was not to be like the nations. And so in keeping time and celebrating the festivals, there's no other nation in the world that kept a 364-day calendar, only Israel. And then the other nations, particularly the ones that ruled over Israel, we're speaking about Egypt, Babylon, Persian, and Greece. They followed lunar calendars, and Rome followed this solar calendar, at least in our modern times.
But that's what we're doing today, really. And globally, the cultures of the world generally follow this solar calendar that belongs to the Roman system.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
And so now, if you look at the enemies of Israel, the oppressors of Israel, they primarily followed this lunar calendar. And so, if you look at and look at an article that describes the Egyptian calendar in the days of the pharaohs, they describe a lunar calendar that has a leap month, a 13th month.
Sure.
Well, that same basic calendar system then we see in Babylon. And so the Babylonian calendar has a 13th leap month. And then the calendar that was followed in Babylon is the one that got followed in Persia. And then the one that got followed in Babylon and Persia is the one that was followed by the Greeks. First, Alexander the Great, he was a Macedonian. It was called the Macedonian calendar. It was taken from the Babylonian calendar. And then the Greek Seleucids, they also had a calendar that is based upon the Babylonian calendar. So the point here is that the priestly calendar is a unique calendar that was given to Israel because the God of Israel said to Israel, I'm going to make you distinct from the nations. And this is how he made them distinct, through the calendar that they were given to follow to keep the festivals.
So the 364-day biblical priestly calendar, the rest of the nations don't follow anything close to a 364-day calendar.
No, so they're even.
This is unique.
They're either doing a lunar calendar that has a leap month, that 13th month, or our present Gregorian Roman calendar is 365 and a quarter.
This brings out an interesting idea as it is written in the book of Shemot Exodus, chapter 12. Now Yehovah said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, this Chodesh, this month, shall be the beginning of the Chodeshim for you.
Well, notice first in verse 1 it said in Egypt. Now continue on.
Oh yes, in the land of Egypt.
This command was given while they were still in Egypt. Now continue on.
Because they had their own calendar there.
That's right, because they had that lunar calendar.
It is to be the first month of the year to you. Not to them, to you. Because Egypt's new year always began around the rising of the Nile. At the time of the rising of Sirius, the star, around mid-July. That's when their new year began. Actually, you folks might understand it as the dog days of summer. The dog days of summer. This is the very same issue that Yeshua addresses in Matthew 15, the woman who calls out and says, "Oh, son of David, my daughter is," and she needs healing, right? And they're talking about the little dogs and says, "But even the little dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table." This is about the Jerusalem priests who are eating. They're the little dogs because they are following the dog star, which is Sirius, Sirius, also was in Egypt called Sopdet. They were following the dog star in Sirius because in Sirius was in the constellation Canis Major, the big dog. That's what they were doing. That's a calendar issue. So the priests were being equated by Yeshua, the priests were being equated with those who are idolaters, worshiping and honoring God through the dog star. So they were called the little dogs who were eating the crumbs from the master's table, the bread of the lechem hapanim, the bread of the showbread in the temple. They were corrupt. And that whole thing is all about mid-July time frame. But he says in Exodus 12, right, Don't do that. This is your new year. This calendar issue was really huge, and some people will say, where's the calendar in the New Testament? Where's this calendar teaching in the New Testament? You ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, people say, where is it? Come on. If it's there, then we would know about it, right? It is there. It's there in the culture of the whole teaching going on there in the New Testament time.
So I want to go back to what you said earlier.
Okay, all right.
Here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. Of the times and the seasons, brethren, what's that referring to in your understanding, this reference to the times and the seasons that he's speaking?
Well, it's written about in the war scroll of the temple of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Is this referring to the festivals, the times and the seasons?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Well, you see in the King James where it's translated here as seasons.
Yeah, it's Moedim.
It's the same word that's translated in Matthew 16 verse 4. It's the same word that's translated there as times. The signs of the times.
The signs of the seasons.
It's the times of the seasons.
The festivals.
The festivals.
So there's a calendar reference right there. Again.
That's what I'm trying to say, since you're bringing up the calendar in Egypt.
So here we have Sirius, the dog star. There we have the times and the seasons in Matthew 16. There's two references right there to the calendar issues going on in Yeshua's day between him and the religious leaders.
And later on, we're going to bring up where John the Baptist brings up the calendar issue in Matthew as well.
People will say, "Where is the calendar in the New Testament? It's not there. It's not a problem."
Right.
Because if it was a problem, he would have mentioned it.
Exactly.
But he did mention it. It was there. But it's in the context of the culture. Now we're going to talk about Judaism following the Babylonian calendar. Judaism, the Judeans, the religious leaders, this is what they're doing. And we will come back and look at this in just a moment. Stay with us. I'm with Eddie Chumney, and I'm Avi Ben Mordechai.